Ontario's premier questioned about the local generating station. Mayor Hobbs says Costco talks are underway. And it's back to class at Confederation College. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Premier Kathleen Wynne wants Thunder Bay residents to know that she is listening. The leader of the Ontario Liberal government hosted a roundtable discussion in the city today aimed at addressing concerns in the local economy. And the stalled conversion of the generating station was once again a hot-button issue during the Premier's visit. Cheryl Holmes has tonight's top story.
How do we actually tap into that global economy and find this region's place in the global economy?
Premier Kathleen Wynne has had a busy schedule during her visit to Thunder Bay. She and local colleagues toured the new consolidated courthouse, which is scheduled to open in spring of 2014. She's also scheduled to attend the opening of the new Lakehead University Law School on Wednesday morning. But the first event on the tour was a roundtable meeting with Finance Minister Charles Sousa, listening to economic concerns of local businesses and stakeholders in this region.
We know that all of those players are going to need to be part of the solutions as we move forward.
The pair hosted a roundtable discussion with city officials, business representatives, and members of the education sector to see what can be done to improve local economic growth and job creation.
We want to make certain that the people of Ontario help us make those choices, because these are tough choices to make when we have limited abilities to grow.
Local officials say one of the factors in this region's ability to grow is the Thunder Bay generating station. Wynne calls the power source one of the fundamentals of infrastructure that needs to be in place to further develop the region. She says local MPPs have made their position clear on the need for energy in the Northwest.
The conversation is ongoing in terms of the Thunder Bay generating station. There have been no final decisions made, but what both members have made it clear is that we must have the generating capacity in the Northwest that's necessary for that economic growth.
Thunder Bay Mayor Keith Hobbs says he has faith in the Premier, but that the Ontario government needs to focus on all corners of the province, including the north. He says the energy produced at the power plant is vital to the province's overall plan to stimulate the economy. Cheryl Holmes, TBT News.
Meanwhile, a local anti-poverty group is trying to get an audience with the Premier on issues that are affecting the less fortunate. As Wynne attends tonight's nomination for Liberal MPP Michael Gravel, Poverty-Free Thunder Bay will be there to greet them. The group would like to see rates raised on social assistance, as well as changes to funding for those on disability. The group is also calling for minimum wage to be raised to $14 an hour. The chair of Poverty-Free Thunder Bay says the rising cost of living in the city is already unaffordable for low-income families.
Our food banks are running out of food. It's been in the news very recently. Shelter House has said how they've been at capacity for all summer, which is not heard of. And so something's going on. People aren't able to pay rent and food, and we need to see change.
Carter adds that budget balancing at the expense of the poor is bad economics. A group of cottagers near Kenora narrowly escaped tragedy last night after their boat exploded while they were in it. The four men, ranging in age from 22 to 59, were transporting gas cans out of the Bear Point Marina when the explosion occurred. All four passengers of the boat ended up in the lake and were rescued by people at the marina. They were rushed to hospital in Kenora and then flown to their hometown of Winnipeg with non-life-threatening injuries. The Ontario Fire Marshal's office will investigate the cause. Meanwhile, a Cessna float plane crashed near Kenora on Friday evening. The pilot lost power just 150 feet off of the water at Upper Louise Lake and was forced to fly into the nearby tree line. Both the passenger and the pilot escaped without suffering any injuries, but the plane has extensive damage. The Transportation Safety Board attributes the crash to a rough-running engine. Well, could the city soon be shopping at a Costco wholesale store? Well, that debate continues. Our mayor is backing the idea, as well as many residents who have been pushing to see a Costco here for years. But it appears one of the major holdups involves land. Just 3 months ago, Costco announced Thunder Bay as one of 25 potential new markets for the company to tap into. Keith Hobbs feels the addition of the big box store would create jobs and keep more people from shopping south of the border, not to mention make a lot of people very happy. But according to Hobbs, he is limited on what he can discuss surrounding possible negotiations, and that includes what may be holding up the deal.
Probably one of the biggest ones, and we're working on all kinds of pieces, and I can't talk about land, obviously, that's a closed session item, but I want them here. I made it public that I want them here, and I think City Council knows that, and I'm hoping that we can achieve that.
Hobbs did say the city is trying to keep big box stores as close to each other as possible, but adds that Costco needs as much as 13 acres for its operation. A Thunder Bay MP is hoping the letter he sent asking the Governor General to refuse Prime Minister Stephen Harper's request to prorogue Parliament won't go unnoticed. Bruce Heyer stated in his letter that he believes Harper is using the process to avoid questions from the opposition about the Senate scandal. Since 2008, this is the third time the Conservative government has prorogued Parliament, and Heyer calls it ridiculous.
My letter was a second letter to the Governor General asking him to seriously consider calling an election. The Prime Minister has lost the confidence of many of the people in the House of Commons, including many of his own backbenchers. And he's lost the confidence of most Canadians. And so I'm going to be writing a second letter to the Governor General asking him to call an election.
Harper also prorogued Parliament in 2008 as the federal government faced a non-confidence vote, once again in 2010 during committee hearings of the treatment of Afghan detainees. In most cases, it's a difficult and sometimes stressful time for students as they embark on a new chapter the first day of college or university. And that is especially the case if students are from a smaller town or a different country altogether. Confederation College and its student union are helping to ease the transition through a week of orientation events. Nate Jones has more.
Day one at the college looks a little more like a carnival than a school. But that's the point, to have some fun. Between the program orientation inside and the festivities outside, first-year students are getting to know their surroundings and each other. And so far, it's been well received.
Get to know your classes, get to know who's in your class, so it's nice to be able to tell who's who and what's going to be happening for the next couple of days.
Everything is super fun, and I'm learning a lot about my course.
Good people, helpful, it's good staff.
The first day kicks off with students getting a feel for the classes they've signed up for. Sometimes students who come from smaller communities or even overseas can feel a little overwhelmed. And that's exactly why these events are held each year.
It gives them a chance to ease in as opposed to just starting classes right off the bat. Most of them tell us after that they do appreciate these couple of days, and it does give them a chance to find out where things are, get their student ID card, find out where the library is, those types of things.
Day two, student orientation begins. The Student Union of Confederation College will help to make young people aware of all of the services and events that are out there.
We have campus recreation, which is free events for all students. We have athletics, we have cross-country running, we have women's hockey teams, curling, soccer. We have the student leadership, so you can be on the board. We have class and clubs, bursaries, ombuds office.
And the list goes on. There will be much more to do in the days to come, including bus tours around the city and various workshops. Here's wishing all students good luck with their studies. Nate Jones, TBT News.
A branding strategy that began more than a year ago has now come full circle for the town of Nipigon. New signs and banners can now be seen throughout the town, highlighting their new logo and tagline, A Natural Edge. The look and design stems from more than 6 months of public consultation, where experts determined what sets Nipigon apart from other communities. Mayor Richard Harvey says the edge can be interpreted in a number of ways, including the many nearby mountains and rivers, as well as the open and innovative business-minded people that gives the community its spirit. He hopes the new signage will also help provide direction and attract highway travelers into their town.
On the highways, we've got a number of signs and to attract people so that they know that Nipigon is coming up. And we're going to continue to improve those. We have a couple more major signs to go up, and just very exciting getting people to realize that this is a tourism destination. This is the place that if you are looking for somewhere to go for a Saturday afternoon drive, Nipigon is the perfect place to go to.
A ceremony today commemorating what the Canadian Merchant Navy endured during the Second World War with a flag raising at City Hall. 92-year-old Robert Hughes was in attendance, who is one of the city's few surviving veterans from the war. Today he helped raise the flag, remembering their hard work and showcasing Thunder Bay's appreciation when it comes to the country's combat efforts.
The Merchant Navy was sort of in the background, although they did a heck of a lot of work and they were absolutely necessary all through the war. They were sort of in the background as far as publicity goes, according to the other military elements and so on. So it means a lot to me.
Meanwhile, another flag was also raised at City Hall, this time as the Arthritis Society kicked off their annual September campaign, which aims to raise money for people who need support. The funding goes towards running chronic pain workshops and offers free services from physiotherapists.
Making people aware of the Arthritis Society and what the services that we have. Obviously, we could have more, like such as today. We are starting a new program of chronic pain workshops for children, and we just had trainers trained last week. So we're going to have our first chronic pain workshop in March.
Both flags will fly at City Hall for the remainder of the week. Well, this weekend's roller coaster temperatures have impacted attendance numbers at the annual Heimers Fair. The popular event started in 1912 and has seen strong support over the years, especially last year's 100th anniversary. But things were pretty quiet on Sunday due to the cool weather. Roughly 1,800 people passed through the gates on the first day, but things rebounded nicely on Monday when sunshine and warm weather brought 4,700 people to the fair. Organizers say it was one of the busiest days they've seen in recent years, and they're planning to add even more features to the 2014 Heimers Fair.
Well, turning to weather now, Fiona, we're only a couple of days into September, but if the rest of the month is going to shape up like today, I'm all for it.
Yeah, it was absolutely gorgeous out today. Lots of sunshine, temperatures were quite nice, and what you probably noticed more than anything else was the dryness in the air, low humidity over the Great Lakes, so no Humidex values really to worry about, and it just made for a more comfortable activities outside. But there is more cool, fresh air that's going to work its way in over the next few days. But we topped out still with a high of 26, and just that little bit of humidity made it feel like 28, so really not a whole lot of difference there. Winds from the west-southwest gusting at times up to 31 kilometers per hour. Across the region, everybody is enjoying definitely above seasonal values. Usually at this time of year, we're at about 20 Celsius, maybe 19. And we're looking at 26 in Fort Frances, 27 in Kenora, and Sault Ste. Marie, well, they're down at 21, but lots of sunshine to be enjoyed pretty much by everyone. Now tonight, it's going to be a bit cool. We're down to single digits and patchy clouds, and the winds will continue to be pretty breezy, about 40 kilometers per hour to start, tapering off to 22. And then tomorrow, I said there's going to be cooler air from the north, and there definitely is. So you're going to see a marked drop in temperature over the next 24 hours. But don't panic behind it. There is still some very warm air that's trying to push its way back in, and we're figuring it's going to arrive, well, probably about Friday. I'll have more details on that later on in the news hour.
Thanks, Fiona. Well, the U.S. continues discussions on how to deal with the Syrian conflict. That story and more for you coming up right after the break.
I've made a decision that America should take action.
More intense lobbying by Barack Obama today for congressional support for a strike on Syria. Neil McDonald has the latest from Washington.
I want to thank the leaders of both parties for being here today.
President Obama plunged ahead today with his puzzling quest to obtain military authorization from Congress that he says he doesn't need in the first place.
I've made a decision that America should take action.
That action would be an unspecified act of war against the Syrian regime, something Obama insists he can do on his own authority. Nonetheless,
I'm going to be working with Congress. We're going to be asking for hearings and a prompt vote.
The regime in Damascus is already portraying Obama's latest stall as an American climb down, a victory for Bashar al-Assad. And this Republican hawk seems to agree.
The president announced 2 years ago that Bashar al-Assad had to go. A year ago, he said that it would be a red line if they used chemical weapons. They already did several times, and now this big use of it has put American credibility on the line.
For that, and for other reasons, leaders of both parties in Congress support a strike.
The use of these weapons have to be responded to.
But there are plenty of doves and right-wingers, especially in the House of Representatives, saying things like this.
It is not our problem. It is very expensive, and it's dangerous.
So, what if Congress says no? Does Assad then have a free hand? What if America does strike and Assad keeps right on using chemical weapons? And is it even possible to keep Syria's massive stockpile of nerve gas from falling into other hands? A danger Obama himself is now raising. Americans are being given no clear answers to those questions, just a choice, and maybe not even a choice. Neil McDonald, CBC News, Washington.
The number of Syrian refugees is staggering. The United Nations said today 2 million are living in camps in neighboring countries, twice as many as there were just 6 months ago. Hundreds of thousands are children, and Nala Ayad has their story.
Back to school here isn't about new books or clothes. 2 weeks ago, these classrooms didn't even exist. For some here, it's back to school for the first time in more than 2 years. Hundreds of refugee children craving attention, education, escape.
My name is Ahmed.
Ahmed says he loves the new school, but not the setting. Life here is not like in Syria, he says. In Syria, there are homes. Here, they're tents. Lebanon has taken in more than 700,000 refugees, the largest share in the region's smallest country. More than half are children. It's toughened up entry requirements and won't establish camps, and yet refugees keep coming, and the remote camps only grow.
The only thing standing between these people and their homes in Syria are those mountains and a terrible war. For a whole generation of children, this is their life now, and it will be for some time to come.
Not only we have children traumatized or children affected by war, also they are affected also here. That we don't want them to lose their future, and they are going to.
It is why a local NGO with UNICEF funding is helping teach them a foreign language, so eventually they could enroll in Lebanese schools that teach mostly in English or French. The alternative is finding work or hopelessness.
This is very dangerous for Syria, for the future of Syria, and for Lebanon.
They managed to leave the fighting behind, but some big battles are ahead. Top among them, in the midst of all of this, salvaging something of their childhood. Nala Ayed, CBC News, in the Bekaa Valley near the Syria-Lebanon border.
Here at home, an important milestone today in the town of High River, Alberta. Hit by floods months ago, today a sign of normalcy. Hundreds of students are headed back to school, but here too, things are not quite the way they were. Carolyn Dunn explains.
Welcome back. Donuts may not be your average back-to-school welcome, but this is not your average first day of school.
Well, welcome back to our temporary location.
In June, Jaslyn Baduke's family lost their home and virtually everything in it.
I literally had my clothes that were on my back and that's it. Same with my family, right?
So coming to school feels like a step forward.
It's nice because it's a little bit of normalcy in your life, so I was excited to come back.
But even this is not quite normal.
The grade 11s and 12s of Notre Dame Collegiate will start their school year here, 5 classrooms in a temporary location.
Their school was among the most severely damaged in High River. It had to be gutted. It will take months to repair. Soon, Notre Dame students will join hundreds of other High River students in portable classrooms being installed now.
You know, our school isn't about a building, it's about the community and the relationships that exist between the kids and the teachers, and it's, you know, those aren't going anywhere.
A safe haven away from the stresses of the last few months.
With all the talk about the flood, and it's on the radio, it's on the TV, everyone's talking about it, and kids don't have the capacity to really process that well. And
any bit of normal, any bit of routine is excellent. You know, it's really good to get into any sort of routine because there's been no routine this summer. It's all been chaos.
But even as classes get underway, signs that despite the chaos, kids will still be kids.
Well, I was kind of hoping that this week would be really hectic and we wouldn't do much for schoolwork. So,
in addition to biology and English, this year's lesson is resiliency. Carolyn Dunn, CBC News, High River, Alberta.
Japan is pledging close to $500 million to try to contain a leak at its crippled Fukushima nuclear plant. Japan's prime minister chaired a meeting of the country's nuclear emergency response group. Concern has grown recently over radiation levels in and around the damaged plant. Radioactive water is known to be leaking into the sea. The latest leak, found at the bottom of a tank on Sunday, could kill an exposed person in 4 hours. Fukushima is the world's worst nuclear accident since Chernobyl. Microsoft is taking over Nokia's lineup of smartphones and patents.
Now's the time to build on this momentum and accelerate it further.
That's Microsoft CEO Steve Ballmer announcing the $7.2 billion deal. Microsoft is hoping the acquisition of the Finnish company's main unit will help it compete with Apple and Google. It's hoping to transform itself from a PC software maker into a more versatile company. Since the deal was announced, Nokia shares have shot up 40%. Well, in a few days, an avalanche of film fans will descend on Toronto for TIFF. Each year, the festival grows bigger. But behind the scenes, there's a little-known gold mine for movie buffs. Eli Glasner takes us inside the treasures of the TIFF Film Reference Library.
When the Toronto International Film Festival opens, film fanatics will be trying to get a glimpse of movie magic up close. But deep inside TIFF headquarters, there's a treasure trove of movie history. Film Reference Library Director Sylvia Frank gave us the guided tour.
Behind the scenes.
This is the heart.
This
is the heart of the Reference Library.
That's right. This is, and I must say, this is only part of our collection.
Inside, you'll find over 500,000 items.
Oh, there it is.
We start with the battle suit from Project Grizzly, a documentary about a man who built armor to withstand a bear attack.
It looks like it's red, green, and duct tape.
Yeah, it does, actually.
Which I love, very Canadian, but there's actually titanium.
Next, we put on our white gloves and jump into the age of silent film.
And this was worn by Mary Pickford.
The Toronto-born actor was one of the silent screen's first movie stars. This headpiece is from 1924.
At the time, this costume cost about $32,000. The budget for the film was $172,000.
Donations like this vibrant Mary Pickford poster put the library collection at an estimated value of over $5 million. Step into the stacks and you'll find 60,000 files on every film imaginable.
Three Amigos, A New Life. So what did you want me to grab?
Gone with the Wind. It's that box right
here.
there.
Oh, here, Gone with the Wind.
It's a classic. We collect anything we can. So in this case, we have the original program.
Oh, that is gorgeous.
For Gone with the Wind.
Look at that.
For researchers, the special collections offer an opportunity to study how Canadian directors such as Adam McGoyan develop their ideas.
This is from The Adjuster.
Oh, wow.
And it's just wonderful because you're really seeing how he works.
It is a collage of the filmmaker's process.
Yeah.
Through another door, we find the archivist's room, where films are inspected for damage or shrinkage.
I see film canisters.
Film
Actual
posters.
film.
Yes. We have a vast film collection.
And with the film industry moving full speed ahead into the digital age, it's more important than ever to have a place to see how we got here. Eli Glasner, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, it's back to school, and the dog days of summer may really be over. These canines, along with a few humans, are taking one last swim at a public pool in Calgary. They had their chance to make a big splash before the pool closes for the season. The third annual Doggy Paddle was for a good cause, raising money for charity. And a real demonstration of horsepower on a busy Mexico City street. 30 police horses galloped and weaved through traffic after being startled as they were being taken from their trailers. One person was hurt and several cars, including this taxi, were badly damaged. The horses themselves had minor injuries, but the real injury may have been to Mexican police pride. Let's take a look at the day's markets. The TSX gained 86 points to 12,740. The Dow Jones climbed 23 points to 14,833. And the Nasdaq gained 22 points to close at 36.12. The Canadian dollar remains unchanged, closing at 94.97 cents US. Gold rose $15.90 to $1,400 an ounce. And oil closed at $108.54 per barrel. That's up 89 cents. Golf tournament wrapped up yesterday in our city, and the weather was actually surprisingly pretty good for it.
For a three-day tournament, you know, 2 out of 3 days. How were things affected with that nasty Sunday we had?
Well, if you're a good golfer, you've got to be versatile. You've got to be able to golf in all types of weather. Myself, I like Saturday's weather because it's cold and it's blustery and it adds a few feet to your drives. But
that wouldn't be the case yesterday. The last of the local major golf tournaments would play out last night at Whitewater as Robbie Untonen took a slim one-shot lead into Monday's final round of the Canadian Tire District Amateur. Mike Albanese recaps.
Coming into the final day of the championship, Robbie Untonen was in the lead by a 2 over Brett Shuchuk after a fantastic start. This all changed around hole 12 when Untonen teed off what looked to be a clean shot until a closer look revealed the ball was in the bushes. Untonen, taking his third shot, drives it past the green and into the bushes behind, losing another ball out of bounds. Untonen's final tally on the hole was 9, which relinquished his lead by 2 to Shuchuk. Now on hole 14, Shuchuk leads by 3 as he and Untonen both make their way to the green. Untonen tries to redeem his lead by birdieing the hole, but this is to no avail as Shuchuk also putts a birdie. Hole 17, Untonen only down by 2 strokes now, hoping to catch up with another birdie on the hole, but both golfers ended up with par, moving into the final hole. Now coming into day 3, Untonen had that 2-point cushion, so as long as Shuchuk keeps his 2-point lead, he forces a playoff. And after both golfers tallied 5 apiece on this 5-par hole, it was up to just that. The two went shot for shot all the way onto the green, where eventually Untonen slipped up on one putt, leaving Shuchuk to tap one in, taking the championship. Brett Shuchuk and Robbie Untonen spoke about the pivotal 12th hole.
He hit the first one into the hazard, and we all thought it cleared at the tee, and then I guess it didn't make it, and then he hit another one into the bush long of the green, and I don't know. I made actually a great bunker save on that hole. That was probably what turned my whole round around, actually.
I had a pretty good 3-wood. I just didn't fly it far enough over the hazard, and unfortunately I made a couple of bad swings there and kind of cost me the tournament.
Mike Albanese, TBT Sports.
It's day 9 of the U.S. Open Tennis Championships in New York. Women's second seed Victoria Azarenka rallied to beat Ana Ivanovic to reach the quarterfinals. Canada's Milos Raonic have to feel sorry for him. He failed in his bid to reach the quarters for the first time as he fell in 5 thrilling sets to 8th seed Richard Gasquet last night. The upset of the day, though, saw men's 7th seed Roger Federer taking on 19th ranked Tommy Robredo. Federer looked off in this one, having won 17 majors and 5 U.S. Opens in his career. The former world number 1 committed 43 unforced errors and was dusted in straight sets by the Spaniard. Robredo's countryman, that would be 2nd seed Rafael Nadal, would drop the first set to Philip Kohlschreiber, but then he roared back to take the next 3 sets and the match. So Nadal is through to the quarters. He'll be joined by 4 seed David Ferrer, who eliminated Janko Tipsarevic in 4 sets. The Lakehead Thunderbolts tryout camp is underway at the Tournament Center. We'll have more with Tara Allaire on the late edition. NHL training camps. Did you know they open late next week? New Jersey center Travis Zajac is working out in his hometown of Winnipeg, and he takes exception to those who think the Devils are rebuilding.
A lot happened over the summer. Some good, some bad.
It was a summer of change for Travis Zajac's New Jersey Devils. From new ownership to the organization losing their top scorer, Ilya Kovalchuk, to the Russian KHL.
Obviously, he's a dynamic player, one of the best in the league. And you know what? We miss him, we miss Zach, but we found ways to still be successful as a team. We'll have to do it again.
Last season was a tough one all around for New Jersey. They finished in 11th place, out of the playoff picture, and individually, Zajac was only able to score 7 goals with 13 assists.
Here's Kovalchuk, has Zajac cutting for the net, he scores! Travis Zajac!
It was a tough season all around for us individually and team-wise, but I think we're looking forward to this year with the group we got, I said. New guys coming in. I think we're a more rounded group than we have been in past, and we're bigger, and I think that's going to work to our advantage.
But it's not all doom and gloom for the Devils, as the club made a huge move at the draft in getting Corey Schneider from the Canucks to solidify their goaltending situation with Marty Brodeur.
Obviously getting one of the better young goalies in the league on our team is going to help. We're going to have that spot solidified for a few years down the road, and with Marty, he's going to come back and be competitive. He's not going to want to give up that crease very easily. So I expect it's going to be a battle there, and that's good to see.
Well, the Blue Jays are hoping Todd Redmond can lead them to their 4th win in their last 5 games tonight in Arizona against the Diamondbacks. The 3-game series started last night. Toronto would open the scoring in the second off Brandon McCarthy, the D-backs pitcher. It's rookie Kevin Pillar with the soft liner to left. That plates Moises Sierra. It's a 2-run inning as Anthony Gose races around the bases for a triple. Pillar counts, and it's 2-0 for the visitors. Jays starter Esmel Rogers in fine form. He would be replaced in the 7th with a shutout by Sergio Santos. With 2 on, he gets Eric Chavez to ground into the 1-6-3 double play, so it remained 2-zip. Toronto would put it on ice in the 9th. It's Edwin Encarnacion going deep for the 35th time this year, as the Jays have now won 5 of their last 7. 4-1 would be the final over Arizona. Former Heisman Award winner Tim Tebow's NFL career could be over after he was released last week by New England. Could we see the quarterback head north and suit up for the Montreal Alouettes, who hold his CFL rights? Here's Al's coach and GM, Jim Popp.
We've never had a conversation with him or his representation, and you know, it's more for the public and the media to ask me questions, but I have no idea what the 32 teams think, and I know every one of them because of his attitude, because of his work ethic, and because of his leadership, and he's a winner. Would love to have him on their team. Now, whether teams are willing to have him on the team or change their system for him, that's a whole nother story. We've got 4 quarterbacks. 3 of them are in uniform tonight. I expect the other one to be back soon. And by the time somebody comes in, I mean, the odds of them learning the offense or seeing the field is slim to none. If we were to bring really a 5th quarterback in to start training them, you know, I don't think it would be a name player like that. I don't think they would be ready to do that. And I don't know that, but if they are ready to do that, then I'm sure they'll call us.
Well, Week 10 in the CFL continues tonight in Toronto with the East leading Argonauts hosting Montreal. Tanner Marsh he'll start a quarterback for the first time for the Alouettes. The Labor Day game would turn into a classic. Less than 5 minutes in, the Stamps off and running. It's Bo Levi Mitchell punching it in from a yard out. 7-0 Calgary. They put up 17 points in the opening frame as Kevin Glenn, watch him air it out 33 yards to Maurice Price for the touchdown. And then we'll pick it up 23-7 in the 3rd. Calgary goes to the air again. It's Mitchell finding his favorite target, Price, for the 42-yard big play touchdown. And the price would be right for the Stampeders as Maurice takes the slant pass. He'll turn it upfield, break a tackle on his way to his 3rd major of the game. And this one covering 66 yards. Calgary takes a wild one over Edmonton, 37-34. And back to the links where the 2nd of 4 FedEx Cup events, the Deutsche Bank Championship, finished out last night near Boston. $10 million will go to the winner of the FedEx Cup. Tiger Woods had the points lead entering the final round. It's Spain's Sergio Garcia who came into the day with a lead, but that disappeared quickly thanks to 4 bogeys on the front 9. Let's check out Sweden's Henrik Stenson. He was locked in, ending up with 6 birdies, including 3 in a row. Canada's Graham Dillette calmly taps in the birdie putt. He finished 3rd at 18 under par, firing a final round 69. And with that performance, he will play in the President's Cup. But no one would catch Stenson as the British Open runner-up wins the Deutsche Bank title by 2 strokes over Steve Stricker, finishing at 22 under par, so he vaults past Woods into 1st in the FedEx Cup standings. And on that note, folks, that'll do it for sports.
All right, thanks, Randy. Well, tonight, Elementary is back with another episode, and this time the elusive Moriarty is back, offering Sherlock a deal he just can't refuse. With more, here's Teletalk.
Tonight on Global Thunder Bay, starting at 8, it's NCIS. And against orders, the team continues their manhunt for Bodnar. Then on NCIS Los Angeles, the team works a missing persons case from Hetty's past. And at 10 on Elementary, Moriarty offers Sherlock information in exchange for solving a murder. Over on CKPR Thunder Bay at 7:30, grab a cuppa with the gang from Coronation Street. Then at 8, Rick tests his stomach as he goes gliding with the Air Cadets on the Rick Mercer Report. At 8:30, 22 Minutes gives the boyfriend body pillow a passionate consumer test drive. And at 9, Caitlin is taken and her kidnappers don't want money on Arctic Air. Teletalk is brought to you by Points, the traffic ticket specialists.
Well, it's a beautiful day today, but it is September, Fiona, and that means that there must be some cooler temperatures headed our way.
Oh, it's always depressing right after Labor Day. You know it's coming. It's still got a little ways to go, but it is definitely on its way. At least today, 26 was our high. If you squeeze out a couple degrees out of that, the Humidex did feel like 28, so it was a beautiful day, and that's even with winds gusting at times up to 31 kilometers per hour. But if you take a look to the west, so far it's a nice gentle start to the month. Now Vancouver has had basically rain for much of the day. The sun has just started to come out. 26 in Prince George, so it's a beautiful day there. Edmonton at 23, sunny, and Humidex value making it feel quite a bit warmer actually at this time, a good 7 degrees above the norm. Calgary at 22 under partly cloudy skies, and we've got mainly cloudy skies in Regina, a few clouds here in Saskatoon, but fairly consistent temperatures, and again, a good degree or two above the norm. So this is nice and consistent weather. Meanwhile, Winnipeg, well, gusty winds up to 40 kilometers per hour, the Humidex reaching 31, hot, muggy, and windy in southern Manitoba. Meanwhile, Toronto also seeing some pretty windy conditions today, but much, much drier. They're currently at 21 Celsius, no Humidex to worry about, and this is fairly seasonal for this time of year. A cool day in Ottawa. They're currently at 18 to 17 in Quebec City. They've had light drizzle earlier today that gave way to partly or mainly cloudy skies. probably around noon today. Meanwhile, in the Maritimes, we'll call it not a ton of sun, but very, very muggy. 23 at this hour in Fredericton, Humidex closer to 30. Charlottetown at 20 under cloudy skies. They had quite a bit of rain earlier today, and Halifax, the rain has just stopped in the last hour or so. They're currently at 20 Celsius, but again, the humidity up into Prince Edward Island, quite a bit higher Humidex values. Meanwhile, St. John's showers and 12 at this hour. It's been gray, wet, and windy pretty much all day today in Newfoundland. If we take a look at what happened, clouds moving out. This high pressure center has been moving in, pulling in that cool air from the northwest. Tomorrow it's going to be hitting us doubly so. So as we get that flow, temperatures are going to take a bit of a dip, definitely in the high teens. So it won't be as frigid as it was at times on Sunday, but definitely cooler as the high moves out. We're looking at hopefully a nice little flow behind it. By Thursday, we'll start to feel it, and even more so on Friday. Taking a look at exactly what these temperatures are going to be doing, you can see where the heat is definitely further to the west. Tonight, it's going to be a cool one, mid to low single digits in much of northwestern Ontario. We should be on the higher range, but still in the singles. Then tomorrow you can see the cooling off, and then Thursday starts to warm back up quite nicely. In fact, by Friday, we should be in the high 20s in Thunder Bay. So that cooling period, it's not going to last very long. Single digits, as I said, under mainly clear skies tonight. I know it's cold, but if you were out at all last night, the stars were gorgeous. Clear skies, it was absolutely beautiful. So if you got a chance, you might want to check it out again tonight. Tomorrow, we've got a fair amount of sunshine, but as you can see, it's taking a bit of a dip. It's only one day, folks, then it'll warm back up. So it's not going to be an extreme cool off, at least not this week. At this hour, we're at 26 under mainly sunny skies, still a little bit windy from the west. And tonight, 7 Celsius, still gusty gusty winds from the northeast up to 40 kilometers per hour at times. Tomorrow we start off at that 7 under partly cloudy skies, and pretty much stays that way most of the day. The winds are going to be light to moderate, 11 to 16 kilometers per hour, about 14 Celsius, 18 by 4 o'clock. Humidity very, very light, just 30%. And then as we take a look at the rest of the week, we hit 22 by Thursday. We're back up to 29 on Friday. Saturday, 27 under partly sunny skies. Then it gets cold again. Must be a Sunday thing. 18 Celsius for the second half of the weekend, and that's your forecast.
In health news this evening, it's being described as the wonder drug that has the potential to completely eliminate overdose deaths. Naloxone reverses the effect of an overdose by instantly neutralizing opioid drugs like heroin and morphine. It has already saved lives in BC, and healthcare workers say it needs to be more widely available. Erin MacArthur reports.
People will draw them up into the syringes and practice injecting them.
It might not look like much, but these tiny vials have the potential to save lives. The drug is called naloxone. It's basically the antidote to heroin or other opiates. It is 100% effective with almost zero risk.
When there is an overdose, that reduces the breathing slows or the breathing stops. The Narcan or naloxone reverses that effect. It pushes the opioid off the receptors in the brain so the person can start breathing again.
The problem is naloxone is only available during emergencies. Paramedics and doctors have been able to use it for decades.
You hear me?
Right now, a pilot project in BC is sending about 400 people home with doses of the drug to use in case of an overdose. It's been a success. 35 overdose reversals have been reported just this year. Drug policy advocates would like to see the drug more widely distributed.
Overdose death is a very preventable situation. People do not need to die from an overdose from an opiate, whether it be heroin or OxyContin or other types of pharmaceuticals. They're very preventable.
British Columbia, seen as a leader in the use of harm reduction strategies. Despite federal government opposition, Insight has been saving lives since it opened the doors. Naloxone could be a giant leap forward in the four-pillar approach. Critics say the drug simply takes the risk out of high-risk behavior.
Where we're lagging behind is moving forward with naloxone distribution programs. So we have a good knowledge of the drug situation in British Columbia. We have lots of expertise in this province. We just need to get across some jurisdictional hurdles so that people who are regular users of opiates can have access to naloxone on a better basis.
Naloxone is one treatment that the U.S. has embraced far more quickly than Canada. Tens of thousands of lives have been saved, all because people have been made aware of this miracle drug. Aaron MacArthur, Global News.
Well, after the break, most parents are probably a little bit sad that their kids are going back to school tomorrow. Or are they? Stay with us. Finally tonight, when this mother puts her two sons on the bus for that very first day of school, there's only one thing she really, really wants to do. Take a look. She calls this her happy dance. This Massachusetts mom has been filming her back-to-school tradition for 5 years now. This year, she danced to NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye. Last year, it was Celebration by Kool and the Gang. The year before that, Michael Jackson's Beat It. Are you noticing a theme here? Those poor children.
I think that's fabulous.
It's a good idea. We're going to recap our top story. Well, Premier Wynne is in the city and discussions surrounding the local generating station. Once again, the biggest topic when she was in town.
And we have Week 10 in the CFL coming to a close in Toronto tonight as the Argos take on the Montreal Alouettes.
Cool night ahead, cool day tomorrow, but don't worry, the heat's going to be back by the end of the week.
Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good night.